Hi, everybody. Welcome to Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of Somalia, the show of the 80s, and the show of shooting bookers, Bourbon straight when we all know you should be sipping it. This is the second installment of my wonderful interview with Shid Barrett. The first round, we talked a little bit about music, high school. The second piece maybe takes a little bit of a darker turn, but yet it's really wonderful to be reinforced this whole conversation with Shid about how positive he is. It's insane how it kind of exudes from him, and he's never going to let anything get him down. It's a wonderful feeling. So I hope you guys enjoy the second part and the conclusion to my interview with Shid Barrett.
There was, not the side segue.
No, please.
There was I used to have a remote control R2-D2.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, I remember those.
For no reason at all. And it was probably like the size of like a crock pot.
Yeah, they're like that,
pretty,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember one night, I swear to God, I was like up, sitting in my little bed, and I'm looking up. It was sitting on like this dresser that was in this room. And then I remember it cut on.
Oh.
Like just randomly cut on. So like every time I think about Poltergeist, I think about that fucking clown in the corner
Clown that just
on the chair.
Animates.
Great. And I'm just like, okay, dude, I just remember being terrified, man. Like and my sister at the time, we watched that together when I was a kid. I'll never forget it, man. I finally managed to fall asleep, and then I woke up because I thought I heard something, and then she had literally worked so fucking hard to crawl in my room as like snail's
Oh
pace.
my God.
Just that she's like, I could tell, like even looking back, she was like, you could tell
she knew,
like, I'm gonna get
premeditated.
This shit right. Yeah. And fucking scared the shit. I pissed my pants. It was terrible, man.
How old were you? Probably like what? 7?
Shit, man. What Poltergeist was? What 82?
82 or 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was 9, like 8 or 9 when it came out. But yeah, man, it
terrifying
was like,
movie.
Yeah, I was terrified. But I remember, like, there used to be, there was, what was that? It was like an NBC thing that came on back in the day.
Oh, I already know what your Amazing
Friday,
Stories.
Amazing Stories?
Yeah.
Amazing. Don't get me started.
Love Amazing Stories.
The Indian story.
Yes,
probably,
yeah, it's great. Yeah. The Gregory Hines one, where he finds the murderer, and he gets stuck in the house with them because he's tracking him. Do you remember that one? The Magician one.
The Magician.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is some esoteric stuff, but I love that show. We watched it. Just recently, probably like a year ago.
That
totally
one,
got it.
I think the train through the house.
Yeah,
one,
Steven Spielberg directed that.
Yeah,
and directed Poltergeist. So you
did.
Well, even though Toby Hooper got.
Yeah. But that I remember I was actually talking about this with my girl like not even like 6 months ago. I was like, there used to be this show.
Oh, it's so good.
Amazing Stories.
The best people in the industry at that time: Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg. Probably Walter Hill. Like fucking Goonies, Dick Donner.
Oh,
yeah, everybody.
But I just remember, I'm like, it's like some of those, the stories behind that, everything that happened it was all like, I mean, the Indian story fucked me up. Like, I don't know why.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a great fucking story.
Yeah. It's all like totally beautiful stories, well constructed, and they weren't jaded. They didn't come from a place of being jaded.
No.
These stories. Because I think I know what you're getting at. Like, I think I know where you're going with it. Because to me, they have like this heartwarming, very innocent kind of place in storytelling. I suspend my disbelief. I don't care if the effects are bad, but it's like, that's a great story. I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is to it, right?
And I don't know if it's just the time. Like, I don't know if I'm guessing that if I showed, for example, if like I sat down tonight with Marge and it was like, okay, hey, I'm going to put on Twilight Zone, the movie.
Oh,
and John Lithgow's performance in the fucking
it's so good.
Goblin on the wing, and then or even Tales from the Crypt.
We were just watching
fucking
that the other night.
yeah.
Are you
Thanks
in
for
my
the ride,
house,
lady.
Rob?
You're like,
Yeah,
holy
dude.
shit, the dude's not dying. That
It's
that
scary.
fucked me up.
Yeah.
That fucked me up
totally
massive. I
scary.
was totally like, she hit this dude, and just the
Right.
whole scene, she pulls in the garage, and then he's just like bleeding and just dying on
Yeah.
her, and just, it's just like, what the fuck? But
Dude, all that stuff. And let's summarize it to say, like, it is a vestige of a time in filmmaking, a time in TV directing, like all of that, where the aesthetic was so perfectly childlike, but yet wholesome. And like, for some reason, and maybe it's just when we grew up. I don't know, because I'm still 6 years younger than you.
yeah,
I totally
it's just,
know that.
I don't.
totally
I
feel
think
it.
that I think that honestly, man, I want to say it's. I think it's. I think the gap is actually like just not even just below you. Because,
Right.
I mean, I think, and I also think it's really just kind of a cultural. I think it's exposure.
Yeah.
I think that I remember, like having. I don't know, man. I got into, my mom is addicted to this day. Like, I don't even fucking get it, man. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. My mom is addicted to, all my life, every Saturday that I can remember, I fought with her over cartoons because
What is she?
The Rifleman, fucking Bonanza,
She loves those not stagecoach.
like just Westerns.
Yeah, but the TV shows, right?
Yeah. TV shows, fucking, is it Orson Welles? Is it not? No, he's an actor. Perry Mason.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh damn it.
So it's like that, and
Yep.
I mean, like I went home right before we stayed with my mom before I flew out of Turkey, and I couldn't sleep, because I was just worried about the trip. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch a little TV, and I actually I just got this fucking Mac, just this huge remote with like all these buttons.
Right.
So like I hit the previously recorded shit, and it's just like
all that stuff,
all
all
the
that
Bonanza,
classic stuff.
Little House on the Prairie,
Yeah.
fucking Perry Mason. You're just like, I'm like,
The
what
Waltons.
the fuck, mom? Like,
Yeah, dude.
like,
But
I mean, she's got this shit iced though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the one thing I know. If she loses it, she'll never forget about these episodes.
Yeah.
So. But like,
it is so crazy how I feel like maybe there's this really cherished time in our life where maybe we haven't yet been heartbroken. You know what I mean? And like we capture that stuff, and it's the halcyon days.
yeah,
I look back. There's plenty of stuff like that. Amazing Stories is one of the key ones, actually. Which I'm glad you totally know what that show is.
yeah. Well, I
killer
think
show.
like my grandfather, every Saturday when I stayed with my grandparents during the summers on the weekends, he had a ritual, man. Like I think every grandparent has every grandfather or grandmother has a fucking chair, and it's a chair you don't fucking sit in. Yeah,
You can never sit in it. Yep.
So I would get up balls ass early to watch my cartoons, and like the whole plan was, because at the time when I was a kid, most of my aunts were still living at home still.
Oh, really? Okay.
So my mom had 4 other sisters, and there was my grandfather, my sister, and my grandmother in this tiny ass house.
Oh man, in Houston.
So, yeah, in Houston.
In Houston, okay.
So I get up early, so I get my dibs on the TV, and most of the time my aunts were like, he's our baby, he's gonna
Just
watch
let
this
him do
shit,
it.
like Space Ghost, let him have Space Ghost. So after that was done, like round 1 or 2,
Yep.
it
What did
was
he want to watch?
Kung Fu Theater, man.
Fuck yes, really.
On Saturdays, it was
Saturdays
Kung Fu-
every time.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So it was
good.
It was that, and then if it was, I mean, like during the playoffs, I guess for football, he was always. I mean, the TV was like, fucking, don't even think about coming near the TV.
Yeah.
During Sundays, but yeah, it was. I mean, like I guess for the better part of 10 years, man.
Yeah.
That was like. My grandfather was a very quiet man. Like he barely. I want to say. For all that I can remember about him, he said a collective. We'll say 10 hours
worth of dialogue.
Yeah.
An hour a year.
Yeah, and
right?
most of it is like what's ups,
Yeah,
like it wasn't
yeah.
like a full. It wasn't. We had a dialogue right before he passed away, and that was like that's the most I'd ever actually engaged with him.
Yeah.
But like he was always like very. He was ideally, man. I wish I was like him, because he was the quietest cat.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pimp. He dressed like a pimp.
Yeah.
I stole a lot of his shirts when he passed away. And I was told, no, I was like, he was just just
great style, put together.
Oh man, and I mean, used
I
to drive this
suspect
1976 Canary Yellow Ford LTD.
Oh man,
Just the consummate pimp.
Yeah.
but like a
Classy.
father.
Yeah.
Very But he quiet dude. You would never. It was unassuming. Like you would even for me to profile him.
Yeah.
It's like, man, he's just kind of country boy. That
Sure.
just moved to Houston. Because he's got roots up in Humble. Like
Humble, okay.
country Humble.
Yeah.
And but he worked construction for years. He read the paper cover to cover every day.
So you knew there's a lot in there.
Yeah, I mean, he was always just like, just never really. He had the most beautiful display of restraint that I think I've ever seen in any human being.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, player, but I got to get home to the lady. Like he was just always like he just.
Yeah.
I mean, and he would be mad about it, but you would just you had a sense where he was like,
He'd pull back.
What you said was not cool.
Yeah.
I am okay with you not being cool because I am not you. I am going home. And it wasn't like and somehow it was like that. He was just
Almost like Zen.
Yeah.
Zen,
but never.
Well, you learned
never
it from all those
faltered.
kung fu
Never.
movies, man.
Yeah. I would just see him all the time, and he was like, but he was at home and he'd chill and he just kung fu theater Saturdays. Fucking first time I saw Five Deadly Venoms was with him. I mean, it was Shaw Brothers Saturday, dude.
That's so amazing.
But that's like.
So what was that? What was that conversation like? That last one.
Oh God, it was.
Did you learn a bit about him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was a beatdown of his. We had to go pick up another relative, and he had already been diagnosed with stomach cancer at that point. So, I didn't even want to go. It was like one of those things. Like, no, I don't want. Like we were picking up like my 90-year-old aunt.
Right.
And I was like,
how long was the drive? Like,
the drive was like 2.5 hours to get there.
So perfect time to just sit and chill.
Yeah.
But it seems like pointless at the time, right? You're a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sit in the car for.
But I didn't want to go, and I just remember my mom being like, "You're going with your grandfather to go pick up." I was like, "All right, fine." So I would get in the car, and then he's chilling. Didn't say anything at first, but when we get into the area where we're going to pick it up, I realized this is where he grew up as a kid. So he's stopping at random. I mean, like we'd be on a highway or like on a farm road and just stop, and he'd like, see that over there, and I'm like, I don't see shit but pine trees, player. And he was just like, oh, this is where my parents had a little shop.
Wow.
And we used to do this over here, and I used to. There was a school that was right here, and he's pointing. He literally is pointing at nothing but pine needles and pine trees off the side of the road and clay.
Yeah,
So that was kind of like a huge deal, and I was like, I understand what's happening right now, but it's a lot right now. So, and then we picked up my aunt, who was surprised.
Is that his sister?
Yeah, his aunt. Actually.
Oh, his aunt. Okay.
Yeah, but she was incredible. She was like somehow she was sharp. I mean, like we walked in the house, it was like 1,000,000,000 fucking degrees because, and she had like 5 blankets on. You're like, gee, what the fuck? Like this place is gonna burn down,
right?
And so we got her, and like he just had a moment. He just gave me his history and his story because I didn't know it, and and it wasn't like my parents, my mom especially has always been very limited with what she like she's been so old school PC, like no. Like when somebody was sick, so you're like, oh, she's the sick, and like I just was like that with my sister,
right?
And when she was like, I was like. My mom was. I was actually in. I was in La Maddalena, Italy, and my mom was like, "You need to come home." And I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, your sister's kind of sick." I'm like, "Fuck out! I'm not coming home. I'm not coming home because my sister has the flu."
We all get the flu. Yeah.
So and then that was her. She's like, and I'm like, "You gotta." You could have led with that,
Like,
she was totally like, "Oh, how could you not wanna, like, why wouldn't you want to come home for your family?" I'm like, well, I mean, it would have been easier to be able to do if you had said that was what the issue was.
Yeah.
So. But that's, I mean, like everybody in terms of like history and relating information, my mom's always been kind of like, right. Like I'll tell you, it's.
Was it? Did it get to a point where it's too late that she gave you too little information too late with your sister?
Yeah, there were a couple times. Oh yeah. I mean, that was probably the most amazing and tragic experience. I think I will ever. Well, no, I can't say that.
Yeah. It's bound to be rough, though.
Yeah. No, it was terrible, man. I had tried, I did. I tried to get leave for that moment, for that time. And at the time I was out of leave. So I didn't, and we were on deployment. So generally back in the day when that happened, people just thought that you were,
Deserting?
yeah, well, just trying to get out of it.
Got it.
You know, like
Yeah.
you just couldn't hack it. You're just like, oh, you're just trying to go home because you're a little bitch.
Right.
So I had put in a leave chit, is just leave paperwork,
Yeah.
and it got denied a couple times. I submitted it twice, I think, and then we were underway somewhere in the middle of the Mediterranean, and I was asleep. I'd just gotten off watch, and I think the doc, the corpsman, who was actually what we call a sea dad, like we always have a mentor. He was He was my sea dad. Wakes me up, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'd been up for 12 hours, I've been up for 18, and I just, was like out. So he comes, and the first thing I notice is that when he wakes me up, before he says anything, I notice that the boat's coming. I hear surface. So I'm like, I just got
totally out of character, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you guys?
Like there's something going on, and it doesn't make any sense. And I thought I was being woken up for a drill, and then he said, "Hey man, you need to be in the skipper's stateroom, and you got 5 minutes, and pack all your shit." And I was like,
"Wow."
And I'm disoriented. I've been on watch for 20 hours at that point. I've only been asleep for 2. So I get up, and then I don't even pack my shit because I'm so nervous because I think I'm being kicked out of the Navy for something I don't even know. I'm just
right.
disoriented.
Yeah. Well, how do you know? You got 2 hours sleep.
I go up to the stateroom. Skipper's up, and he's got this little ticker tape piece of paper, and he slides it over to me, and it's a what they call a Red Cross, which is a message that's sent via radio, and I read it, and it's telling me that my sister's got like less than a week of life expectancy.
Jesus.
And that at the request of the family, I need to come home.
Yeah.
So it was really awkward because I read it and I was kind of mad, both because I didn't understand.
You didn't know, right?
I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know the severity of my sister's situation because of my mom being limited in what she said.
Right.
But I also was mad at the command because of the fact that I had already tried to come home and they denied it because they thought I was lying.
Yeah.
Which, in fairness, I did back in the day. So,
they were kind of justified, right?
Yeah, but So the plan was to helo me. They had called a helo from Italy to meet us in the middle. They were going to come to the surface. I was going to get heloed off, so get picked up and then hoisted out. So that's what happened. Came to the surface. This big Black Hawk shows up and fucking lifts me off the sail, and then I'm super grounded. It was crazy,
right?
And they fly me to La Maddalena, and then I end up taking the flight that they had prepared for me. Was the craziest thing ever.
They prepared a flight for you?
Yeah, I mean, all the shit was. While in the process of doing this, they had bought a flight from. I had to get from La Maddalena to Trieste, Italy, and then from Trieste to a small town called Olbia, where I was sitting on a train station track for probably 10 hours waiting for this train. Waiting for this train to come. Train shows up, takes me to Da Vinci, takes me to Rome. So I go from Rome to Ramstein Air Force Base, from Rome to Ramstein Air Force Base, and then from Ramstein to London, London to New York, New York to Atlanta, Atlanta to Chicago, Chicago to Dallas, Dallas back to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Houston.
Jesus.
And it was a total of 26 hours.
Fucking kidding me. Is this all commercial stuff or like this is private?
It was
private airlines.
The first leg was military. They were what they call hop flights.
Yeah.
And then the second half was
just like commercial airlines.
Like Delta, United, whatever.
Yeah.
So
it took you already a day. So less than a week. And it took you a whole goddamn day to get back.
Yeah, and I that's not even factoring time zone differences or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just know that I was physically on something for 24 hours straight.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, or over 24 hours. And then I got home. My mom picked me up from the airport. And this is sad. I'm not trying to, be all sad about it.
No.
I got home, and my mom said, "Hey, look, it was 8 o'clock. Central Time. She said, hey, do you want to go to the hospital now, or you just want to wait till the morning? And I was sapped from the travel, so I just said, hey, we'll just go. So she woke me up at 6 that morning saying that my sister had passed away just an hour before. So yeah, it sucked. So I ended up staying for I ended up staying home for like 2 weeks before I came back to the boat, and then it was cool. It was cool after that, but the deployment was cool. Fucking family was not cool, but that's So it's it's
Jesus.
Yeah, military life. Woo.
That may be the.
Wow. Sorry, man.
No,
it was it was a pretty intense moment, man. But
what Jesus. What was it? What did she have?
She was she was HIV positive, but she had complications from lymphoma, and she had pneumonia at the time. So that's what the Red Cross message said when I got it. So that's what I was like, oh shit. I still have it somewhere. I think it's in storage, but
man. So how do you go back to work after that?
It was it's crazy. It wasn't that hard. My family is I didn't really have any uncles. Yeah. So I have one uncle. So, and I have a shit ton of aunts. And I remember the funeral, and I remember losing my shit. And I remember one of my aunts walking up to me and saying to me, she said, I forgot how she said it, but she just walked up. She said, all that crying ain't going to bring her back. So, and I just remember being
it's a pretty
fuck. And I just, Jesus. But that is, it
seems like this par for the course, man. Yeah.
But the women in my family are essentially I was raised by women. Yeah. So they've always been really, comparatively speaking, the other people that I've talked to, just uncharacteristically strong.
Yeah. Sounds incredibly strong and stable. Yeah.
So that is the, that's the, coming, them and how they treated it. That was the first time I ever looked at celebrating somebody's life instead of mourning the death. Yeah. So it was. It's
a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I feel that way as well.
And I've between just being in the Navy and just deployments and then going through Iraq or just dealing with losses of life in that capacity.
Right.
I've always been. It's been a character flaw in a sense where I've been a loyalist in a lot of ways to friends because I think about those things on the often, so it's I want to make sure that even if I'm in a position where I'm thinking about someone or I've lost somebody, I'm thinking more about the chuckles and
you're focusing on those high points
and just points. and missing them, but at the same time really enjoying them for everything that they gave me. So
yeah. It's a brilliant way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, when you lose a lot of people, you got to do it.
When you lose you lose everybody once.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable. But we somehow we always feel we always act like we're blindsided by it. Wait, fuck it, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna die?
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I can't believe. Yeah. It's. It sucks. It's difficult because, that mindset doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
But the mind, being in a situation where you're being shot at,
that's gotta change it.
Yeah, it's kind of
I think nobody's
banking on any of those catching you anyway.
Yeah.
But and that's something that I remember. That was something we didn't talk about at all. When it did happen, in those moments where, I did a small stint in Somalia.
Mm-hmm. This is the Clinton days? Or Mogadishu, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was to see the things that, to see the things that we saw and then, trying to be, honestly, we spent a lot of time trying to be caregivers and supporting people, but then just
But who supports you, though? You know what I mean?
It took a while. the first month was the most, I didn't talk about it with anybody back home because it was like it was like one of those things. It's like I can't explain to you how fucking deplorable. Like there's not a word. Deplorable is not a word.
It's not big enough.
You know, like so it was like you're just like, okay, cool, man. I'm gonna, you know, like we could be humping for miles and then I'll just come across an open grave and it's just you're just like, okay, you know, or seeing people, you know, like seeing people starving, but seeing people starve in that environment. And all of that was just, I mean, just every element between the heat, between the fact that, you know, like all the water that we had was shit. Well, all the water they had was shit,
right.
You know, like, and then trying to figure out how you're going to divide, you know, what water you have on you.
Yeah, you want to solve this problem. And frankly, there's not a solution for all.
Right.
That's got to just be like so goddamn frustrating.
So, you know, and then even just dealing with, I mean, like, and that's the thing, like some of the aggression that we got were actually from people that were so fucking desperate that you're talking about defending your life because somebody's like, I'm trying to save mine.
Yeah.
And it's just dealing with those things and then seeing, like that was the first time I'd never seen evil like that before where I saw, you know, like people. Just,
you read about it, you see pictures of it.
Yeah. But just seeing people just, you know, we'd see like roving patrols from different various shitty Somali militia, just fucking blazing cats. And I mean, and being in a position where there was nothing we could do about it. And it's like, you know, like.
But you want to, right? Like you want to help everybody.
So, and it was definitely, and I mean, it was like, I mean, I remember, you know, like being a part of a crew that we had to go out and we got a report that, oh God, it was a shitty day. We got a report that there was a loose minefield, which basically means that it's a spread. So it's like, it's not one general area. It's just
kind
like,
of erratically placed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it's one of the situations where a lot of technicals to keep certain tribes from, like Red Cross would make a drop.
Right.
Let's say to put it in terms of Austin, let's say that you and I are a part of a tribe in this part of Austin, and then they made a drop. Red Cross made a drop in, let's say 45th Street.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. At least a couple miles away.
Yeah. A couple miles away, but you see the drop. So naturally, your instinct is, you know what that plane looks like. We know what that is.
We got to get it.
Yeah, and we need something. So, but different militias would come through and do what's called a loose mine. So they take a technical, which is basically a truck with a mounted gun or whatever, and just toss like homemade mines, whatever, old Russian PK2s, whatever, just tossing them out. So it was like there was no consistency, but the whole idea was. There was consistency in terms of it formed a line, formed a border of sorts, but
no one could you couldn't see the pattern in it, right? It's supposed to be it's supposed to bring people in so they can't see it.
So there's huge gaps. You could get lucky or not, but the whole idea, I mean, it was even more terrifying in the sense that like there was so many fucking gaps, and they would run these things for miles to the point to where we couldn't even pick them up because we were trying to keep rolling in the same direction. So
right.
We were just kind of like, all right, what the fuck? So. Yeah, it was definitely just that kind of evil, and just no second thought to like, you know, and it was shit like that all the time. So it was like,
it's got to change you.
Yeah, it does.
How long were you out there in total?
Oh God, twice for the longest at 4 months apiece.
Okay.
And then I think maybe a couple of spotty, like a week here, 2 weeks there, something like that. But
that's insane, though. It's got to be so much.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was. I mean, the whole purpose of being out there wasn't even to do any. We were out there to do recon on Somali pirates. We were out there trying to, you know. So it wasn't. It's like it wasn't even our job, and then it turned into our job, and it's like, okay, cool. Not cool, but
yeah.
But yeah, man, it's
So when did you get back? They put you back on a sub afterwards? Did you get discharged?
yeah.
Or?
I switched boats. I was on another boat after the Hampton, and then I was a part of. It was like a more specialized deployment situation on the second boat, which is what we were doing.
Gotcha.
So we were specifically, everybody had the fields of expertise on that boat were different because they were designed for more like amphibious ground assault. So we weren't necessarily SEALs, but we were the guys that we were communications comms and just any intel that we recon.
Right.
Like we were facilitators for that, but like in real time. So it wasn't like we'd have a briefing. We would go out with them, or we would go out days before they would,
right,
and just scout, literally just do a perimeter scout of the areas they were going into to get more of a detailed analysis of what was happening.
Got it.
So sometimes we'd hump for miles just to kind of get gridded out to say, okay, cool, this is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So
when did it all conclude, that the Navy stint? And was it on your, were you just kind of done with it?
My time was up.
You served
Yeah.
your
The time is done. So
check is cashed.
Yeah.
Now it's time to move on.
Yeah, and it was weird, man, because I just remember not knowing how to relate to anyone. And I remember just trying so hard with people after that. I just remember like the first couple of years being out, the transition was terrible, just because I couldn't relate to anybody at all.
Did you want to?
Oh, totally, man.
Yeah.
But I just you got to understand, having that work ethic all the time, where you're getting up and you go from that kind of environment to you're dealing with, I worked in a coffee house.
Yeah, it's
one of my first jobs, and then I just
the antithesis.
Yeah. Just like, oh, my stomach hurt. I'm just gonna go home. I'm not gonna call it. Like, what the fuck? Like,
that's
I'd
a
never
problem,
taken
really.
Yeah. I've never taken a sick day in my life at that point. So I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
it's
get
hard.
back there and make some fucking coffee. It's not hard. Like,
was that in Virginia?
Yeah, that was in Virginia. Yeah. So it was definitely the transition was really, attitude wise, everything, just trying to get to a point, ironic, and some people laugh if they hear this, like trying to get to a point where I can mellow out.
I think it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I can't imagine having the moral turmoil around you, and like having to kind of adapt back to what the States are pretty normal considering. It's like fucking walk in the park here.
Oh yeah, dude, we are
many other places.
We are like a brothel full of unicorns.
Yeah,
man.
dude,
it's
exactly.
Compared to it's not even. It's awesome.
So do you feel like you got that? And we'll shift into the cocktail bit, here in a second.
I hate cocktails.
Fucking cocktails. But no, like, it's a big problem when people come back that they don't have an outlet. They don't have a healthy way to communicate with people in a healthy forum. It's like they don't get the support they need. And do you feel like when you came back that you had all those tools you needed to at least fucking get this stuff off your chest? I couldn't do it. I could do it, but I'd have to talk about it.
Well, I had one friend that we both got out together, and I think our saving grace at the time was our humor with each other, because we still had the military frame of humor,
right.
Which is actually hilarious.
I'm sure.
And we were huge Wes Anderson fans.
Yeah.
So we bonded, like we were just stuck together. We were like
Tenenbaums. Is that the first? Well, Royal.
No,
I love
Bottle
Rocket. Yeah,
Bottle Rocket.
That's
was like, and we were just like we just that's all we talked about.
Yeah.
Like it's like we just talked about like
fucking Dignum.
That
what kind
humor,
of name is that anyway?
Like Rushmore, everything.
Yeah.
That was our style of humor back in the day. So that's all we dealt. We like totally were like just one upping each other with that humor. So
yeah,
he was kind of like a lifesaver for that. His name's Steve. He's truly one of my best friends, and it was just an incredible experience with that.
But it helped.
Yeah, it did. Help.
Wes Anderson finally helped somebody.
Yeah, and right. And I was like trying to really, I wanted to settle down. I wanted to try to get a relationship. I did.
Yeah.
And it was still a little tough, man, because I felt like I was so misunderstood, and I couldn't quite relate to things from back in the day.
Right.
With anyone that I didn't talk that much about it. So I ended up, like, I used to make up all kinds of shit, man, just to fit in, because the people that I was trying to friend were actually really good people, but it was like just a reset, like where I just felt like I was trying to like get in. But it was very cliquey. They were very cliquey, and I was very trying to like. I'm just like, just got to get in here.
You know, so you think that there's a pattern there, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally.
Like you're moving around, having to readjust socially and find your niche each time. So you come back out of the military and you're like, fuck, I got to do this again.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you kind of have to say, well, what character am I now? Who do I see myself as now? And how are other people going to see me? Right? Because it's like if I'm too this way, too that way, and I'm sure now you don't give a fuck, you're just who you are. But there are points in our lives where we make that adjustment.
Yeah,
you know?
it was. It took a while, man. And I mean, like I'm talking, and this is the thing too. Like I'm stubborn, man. People gotta realize it. Like you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it when you're 29. You know, like there's a couple bartenders, for example, that I've relayed some of these stories about like, in terms of experience and just humility and fucking up and lying and all kinds of shit that people do every day.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's like you look back at yourself or you look at somebody. You're like, I'm starting to get to that point at my age now where I look at cats and they're like, man, you don't know shit.
Don't know shit.
You know, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I just wish you could.
You'll
be
know shit eventually.
Yeah. It's man, you are. You know, I mean, like, and that's the whole thing. Like when you look at somebody that's like 24, 25, trying to tell you, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, you're like, man, I was born tonight, but not last night. You know what I mean? You out of your fucking mind if you think I'm, you know, like, and that's the whole.
Who do you think?
Yeah. And
you really
it's crazy.
think that's your thought? Yeah. That's your perspective?
But I also, part of you wants to wince. You're like, oh man, I was that fucking retarded too.
We all are. Yeah.
Damn, man. Like, I thought I was smoother than that though. You know, like, and it's funny because you see that now. And I mean, I see that now with different people and like, and even like going back to what we started with, man, it just, I think humility is priceless, man. And I've learned the hard way to get it. And I see, you know, like there's people that you see and I'm like, I counteract in my own experiences, with dealing with that, the way I got dealt with.
Yeah. Your grandfather said like less than 10 hours worth that you knew him. I mean,
so I literally now I'm kind of like, I make sure that I'm like more of like a positive reinforcer when I like, hey dude, look, it's all good.
Yeah.
But you fucked up, but check it out. It's all good. I'm not saying you fucked up for the sake of being like, hey, I'm right and you're wrong. I'm saying that like, I'm just saying that like, you really need to, let's tighten this up. Let's tighten up a little bit.
You want to be a teacher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love
a mentor. How about that?
Well, no, I mean, I'll take teacher, man. I would love to teach. I'll be a teacher of the things that no one wants to teach.
Yeah.
Which is like being honest with yourself when you fuck up, or, you know, like learning
admitting
the hard
that
way. Like
that you're flawed.
Being a teacher of living with yourself after you fuck up in a way that you're not comfortable with. So it's like having all those moments where you look back and you wince on those moments where shit you did. You're like, oh man, I could have gone about that a different way.
Yeah.
You know, like, and figuring out like, ways to talk to people and how to address things and like there's 1,000 ways to say something to someone, like people want to, get hot headed off the jump. They're just like, oh, I'm going to tell you, like, but at the end of the day, it's just really, like I'm trying my best to make sure that I am not doing what was done to me.
Yeah.
Not to say that it was bad. It gave me character and all that.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, like there's a lot of cats in the game that are very like all about accolades.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh no, I know so and so, just name dropping and like.
Sorry that I do that with directors. Actually, I find out.
No, not like that.
I don't know any of those guys. They could be assholes, but I know their work and I love it. So
yeah, well, no, I mean like it's like being in the game, from the industry perspective, like, where people talk about. We have so much exposure to people in the industry, like direct exposure, and it's fucking awesome. But it's one of those things where it would be like, I don't think anybody in the industry is necessarily worthy of the freak out moment that we would have about, like, let's say, like like the doorbell rang and it's Linkletter at the door. You're like,
Oh
what the
shit!
fuck? Let's
like
party.
hang out,
like,
man.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, dude, no, man. You have created a cinematic masterpiece, and we are about to get fucked up.
Yeah.
But like in the industry, everybody has, I think everybody has put mad work in, and I have a lot of respect for that. I just feel like that. I think even those individuals are they're making their contribution, and I think they even look at it as they're a part of a community. It's not like I'm trying to do my thing.
Right.
Like, I think they just want to get down. I think they want to make something dope, or they want to, have a dope bar or whatever. And I think at the end of the day, it's all of it is founded and forged around having a good fucking time.
Yeah.
Nothing more. And I think there are people that are more interested in like how many people they know, how many likes they get on Facebook, or whatever.
The Bacardi legacy things they win. And
well, I mean,
that is just a random competition, by the way. But
no, I'm a fan of I like that element of the industry because it allows you to be creative in a way. Like I've been forced to be. I push myself mentally to the fucking edge of like. It's caused me to look at different avenues and explore and be more open-minded to like more of a culinary aspect.
Absolutely.
More, so it's like, I mean, and I think everybody does that, but I think that.
But don't you think there is an element though too that it's like, I just want to be in the paper.
I've seen some people that are like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's.
You think I gather that like. You feel people are doing it for the right reasons, which is a great positivity to have.
I do. I do. I understand. I think I've entered a new realm where I'm starting to see things where people are very political about certain moves. But I understand like when you're trying to sell something or you're trying to, encourage a product or an event or, like it comes with that. A little bit comes with that. So it's not necessarily unhealthy. I think I'm more. I feel like in some ways a protector, or I get anxious when the community is disrupted by something it's almost like it's like I feel like the USBG Austin chapter, for example. I don't want to relate it completely to this, but it's like a Jedi Academy, and I think for the most part, everybody in that academy
they have some force.
Yeah. Everybody's bad. I mean, like it's.
There's not a weak group. There's not a weak one.
No. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of something that are also. I mean, like you have a lot of respect for everyone, and you've worked with all of these individuals in some capacity,
right?
Or
it's nice to see when people do well.
Yeah,
I love that.
Oh no, I mean I'm the worst cheerleader, dude. I'm all about it.
Yeah,
like I'm happy for anybody doing anything good.
It's good. So let's take. Speaking of good, this round, I think this is probably the third time Mr. Old Charter has showed up in the show. I'm gonna call it the show until I get used to having a show, quote unquote, which is fucking weird, Mr. Whatever. Anyway, so. You picked the Old Charter 10-year, which no longer is made because I can only presume the demand for aged older bourbons above 8 years old has gone to a point where Buffalo Trace, who made this guy, can't keep up. So what do you think? How do you feel about the Old Charter 10?
I'm a huge fan of Old Charter to begin with. So I've taken I think it's brilliant. I think it's perfect.
It's easy, right?
Yeah,
totally easy.
It's crazy easy. The thing about, and this is funny, man. So the first, I'll tell you this. This is a quick story with my buddy Steve I was talking about earlier. My booze history started with it was my 30th birthday, so 11 years ago.
Yeah,
I had a shot of Booker's.
Full strength
Bookers.
Yeah.
For my birthday, it was bought by my good friend Steve, who had a mediocre depth of knowledge of bourbon at that time. I knew nothing other than like Beam is good.
Yeah.
So I didn't know.
It is great.
It is, but I mean, outside of that, like identifying, like
it wasn't. There's not a deep knowledge. Right?
I wasn't really. I don't think I was even. I think I was drinking gin at the point. I think I was really.
No one will fault you for that.
Well, quintessential to be exact. That was like the gin of choice back in the day.
Which one was it?
Quintessential gin.
I've never had it.
Q. Yeah.
No, I don't know if I've ever seen it even.
It might be. They may not even make it anymore.
I don't think they. I mean, maybe, but I haven't seen it.
Quintessential gin.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, if it's quintessential,
it's a sexy bottle,
man.
It.
Yeah.
It was sexy. I'll have to Google
find
it.
Yeah, see if you can send me a picture of it.
But
so you how did the bookers rushing through you, that hot heat,
here's
wonderfulness.
The thing. I didn't fucking know the concept of proof to me at that point.
Yeah.
Apart from like studies in EOD school and shit like that.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, like pyrotechnics and, you know, like no clue about how that would affect me. So we all take a, salute, happy birthday, man. And I'm taking the shot back, and as I'm whipping it back, I'm looking at the eyes of 3 other guys that are taking it with me.
Right.
That are like wide-eyed, like, what? No, like that slow, like,
Yeah.
So I was like, what? And then all of a sudden, I just feel my esophagus just like part like the Red Sea. Just like, it's like, okay,
it's searing.
That's not good. I feel like stuff's coming off now. I remember just having this like, holy shit.
Right.
And everybody was like, dude, why would you do that? I'm like, what? I mean, I thought we were.
Were they sipping it?
Yeah, everybody was sipping it.
Oh man,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out, like, what the fuck? And that was a crazy moment, man. And then after that, I had dealt with the machine of brand.
Yeah.
With like learning about like, cause it's everywhere. You're like, oh dude, I only drink Macallan, or I only have, so there you have you have that. And that's, this is military, post-military. This is,
right.
Like like early years bartending, like it was all this like, oh, I'm just going with what I know.
Yeah.
So it's ironic now that journey has taken me to a place where now, when people ask me what my favorite bourbons are,
what is?
They're like, I'm like, oh, dude, Fitz or Charter or Granddad or.
Yep.
They're like, dude, all that shit's whack. You're like, that.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like, dude,
there's no correlation to price to quality.
Right.
Now, sometimes maybe, but not in bourbon.
I'm still working on that, man. I'm still trying to figure out a way to. That is like the fucking. I feel like I've got like the iron fist. Like fucking, I've mastered, Shaolin vibes. Like if I can figure out a way to explain to people, like, dude.
So so the Old Forester, the birthday bourbon, 2015, which is, at least in my opinion, the best in probably about 3 years. The 13 is great too, but that bottle cost me $100. Ooh, right? Like it's 12 years old. It's bourbon.
Yeah.
So say, okay, well, what's Van Winkle Lot B12 cost now? So retail, it should be only $80 about.
Right.
You will not find it for under $300.
I know that.
It's insane. And so there is those two bourbons are they're different, but they're just as good as each other.
All right.
And there's no correlation. It's all just market hype, and people don't get that. And that's okay that they don't get that, but you got to realize, like, you got to use some discretion when you're buying bourbons. And if Old Charter 8, even if it's not a full 8 years now, still for $18 a bottle, that's better than any craft whiskey. I'll say it right now. It's better than any craft whiskey, and it's better than most of the rebottled shit that people get anyway. Four Roses Yellow Label for under 20. I mean, come on.
What are we talking about? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, I don't. Why? Like if I feel like you got to have, and I think a huge factor is guys are like, oh man, it's funny when people have the reaction of like, ooh, brr, this is bracing.
Right. Yeah.
And you're kind of like, dude,
stop being a wiener.
Yeah. Like, like, if you want, man, TW Samuels is 2 doors down, dog, and and it's not, I drink it too. So don't, I'm not calling you out, but I'm saying that if you want something subtle,
that's right.
But still would knock you on your ass,
yeah.
In quantity, you should try some T-dubs. But I'm a fan. I think that there should be like a position of like antique old school bourbon history. Like this is where you get to just have like these like patriarchs of bourbon
Yeah.
sitting on the table like, oh, dude, is that Old Charter? Or
Fitz is a good example too.
Fitz is, Fitz was like, that broke my heart.
I can't imagine it's gonna come back though.
Dude,
Kevin Hill is pulling out all the stops.
I know, man, but I'm nervous that it won't be the same.
Yeah,
I'm
terrified. Sure it's hard to say. The new Wild Turkey 101. Like I was talking to Hank, Kathy about it, and like I bought a new bottle, and I think it's great. But he said the first stuff he thought that he tried at a Campari once they purchased them, wasn't so good. So I don't know, man. But suffice it to say, your interest in bourbon that expanded. So you've got this rich background in worldly experiences, details, being tested heavily about fucking submarine mechanics. So you have some basic understanding of distillation.
Yeah,
you understand how to dissect the beat and put it all together, how to sample, how to compress, how to sequence all of this.
Yes.
Like, how does this prime you? What is that moment in which you're like, you know what? Cocktails are really simply a series of details that are put together in a particular order.
I think it wasn't even.
Was it much simpler than that?
Man, I think it was. I think it was me understanding. I want to say that it was pride, a sense of pride. I think it was like an acceptance. I think that one of the things that used to bug me was people who would question the professionalism of bartending, and it would be like, like, is this your real job, dude? I'm like, yeah. Is this all you do? Yes, it is.
Really?
But yeah, well, I mean, it was one of those things where I always had a hard time with that. Like, I always felt like I needed to say, oh, well, but
I'm working on this or something. Yeah.
And it wasn't until Pech&eacute that I started to realize, like, it was just a different look. There was a different attitude, and there was definitely the appreciation and meticulousness of what everybody was doing.
Yeah. Commitment to quality, I call it too.
And I just remember just seeing, like, and everybody hates Rob Bate. But Rob and I are actually good friends, man. I learned a lot from him. I learned more from him as an individual than I did as a bartender.
Right.
And he's not as stubborn as most people think.
Yeah.
Now, if he heard this, he'd probably be like, "No, fuck you. I'm an asshole."
I would love to get him in here.
Dude, he's clandestine to be an asshole.
Yeah.
But I think that, and just how he is as a businessman, and I think I've been blessed to see him evolve himself from the image that I think a lot of people have to a more intimate perspective with him, where it's as simple as it's just that it's the beauty of being misunderstood. I think that there is. I mean, just working for him sucks sometimes. I remember some nights, like when there was one night, I remember, I'll never forget this, man. I broke a chip off of a glass.
Oh,
right?
no.
And I knew it cleared the well.
Yeah.
I saw it. It was like, pew, like over my shoulder. And
Did he make you dethrone the well completely?
So I was working with this other asshole that,
Justin Elliott, how dare you?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't J.E.
No.
It was this other young cat, man. And I remember I knew it was clear. Like, I actually was with another guy that I worked with at the time. We were looking at it. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, it's like this nick.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, if you feel good about it. I'm like, I do. I'm not gonna rock glass in a well. Like, it's like the chip is minuscule. And I saw it fly over. I knew it was not in the well. So this young cat goes to Rob, says, hey, man, he's got ice in the well. He's still working, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit.
Rob comes over, like this big bear.
Puffing.
Grabs my grapefruit juice, right? Just pulls the spigot off and just dumps it all over the ice. He's like, you don't fucking, it just goes in on me about it.
Oh, my
and I was
gosh.
just like, holy shit. But I remember, like, and it was grandiose display. Call me out, like, it was probably not the best way to do it.
Right.
But looking back at a lot of those situations, I look at him and I think, like, fuck, man, like, he gave a shit. Like, that's the thing that, I mean, anybody can say what they want to say, but a guy that spends all of his days at a place he's been at for all. I mean, like he was like I sometimes I would guess like, oh, he probably doesn't pay attention to what we do behind the bar.
Right.
But he just seemed to be always on top of it. He'd have these moments where if he was having a shit, I mean, he was no different than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was just your boss, but he had that the leverage over you on a bad day was what sucked the most.
Right,
it wasn't
right.
him as a person. But I learned a lot from him just in terms of like his approach to things and his outlook. Just the outlook and instilling the outlook of professionalism for what we do, and then kind of breathing life into me in terms of like, you know, I had already had some life. You know, I got my Somalia. I got it.
No, this is like the true second phase 2.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because that's the thing is like normally most people don't have these kinds of lives. Like it's just incredibly riveting to hear your story, and that's outside of what you've done.
Yeah.
In the cocktail realm, you know.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it was. Yeah, it's crazy to look at it like that because I don't. I just kind of look at it in the now.
Right,
you know,
which is great because then you're humbled.
Yeah.
Right, because you're not like, well, I did all this.
I hope
stuff.
so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It comes off.
I'm
that
trying
way,
not to be the guy, the old man with the rolled up newspaper, like swinging at kids
no.
in the yard.
Yeah, no.
Get up, back in my fucking day. You know, like, but it was definitely, no, I mean, it was, I think that he was very instrumental in giving me, like and it was already overwhelming. Like walking to that bar for the first time, you're like, holy fuck.
It's massive.
It's a
It's
lot
a
of
library.
bottles.
Yeah.
And, you know, working with Trey Jenkins and everybody's like, oh, dude, you'll get it. Like, you'll get it. And I'm like, I'm not going to get this. And I had had this confidence because I was like, I got my fucking, you know, level 1 sommelier, I got the intro. And then I was in the process of working on level 2 just for fun. I mean,
sure.
And then just getting beat over the head with all of this stuff and even having a basic concept of distillation and then it just, you know, starting with gins because that was Rob's thing.
Right.
Rob went in with gins, and then he went in with, and then, you know, Larry's thing was bourbon at the time, or still is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it was just very like I felt like everybody had like a, you know, Trey's was rum, so everybody kind of.
I mean, you have like. You have an expert from each segment, you know. You could just pick their brain.
And we got so lucky, and then, you know, Cameron Garnett, who we came in the same day together, and we got beat to shit, but you know, like it. You know, like that team at the time was, you know, just every day. I mean, every day you go to school. It was just like going to school every day.
Would you ever work for Rob again?
I would because of the fact that, like, I mean, my relationship with him is definitely, I don't think he has like I said. You know, he's a fucking asshole. He's an asshole.
Right.
But I think that I've been privileged because he's a very generous man.
Yeah.
And I think it's been overlooked. And I know, you know, everybody's got skeletons. Everybody's got moments where they're just like,
less than graceful. Yeah.
But from coming from the environment and dealing with people who were micromanagers in the military or who were scared shitless and didn't know how to lead or didn't know how to make a decision or just, you know, it wasn't even an issue of making bad decisions. It's just an issue of not making decisions at all.
Yeah.
Like Rob was never was in a position where those boxes were never checked. Like he always made decisions, but he was also, you know, like you got a sense of how much he cared, you know? And when he needed to call it quits, when he needed time for himself, and you could respect that, and you could see him, you know, like he could be an asshole, but you could tell he trusted you at the end of the day. Like if Rob stopped talking to you, you needed to be worried. That's kind of how it was. You're like, oh shit, man. Like even if it was just insults, you know, like all day, you're like,
still
okay,
something.
Cool. The minute he gets go quiet on you, you're like, oh, fuck,
shit.
Man. But no, I think he was really good about being open and allowing us to be creative so long as we were learning in the process. And I remember he gave me he didn't give me his copy, but like one of the first books he made me read was the Savoy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I don't understand. I mean, I just remember just being like, and he had a wealth of, just the bar itself, the books.
Yeah, he's got an academic knowledge of it.
So it just, But I mean, and granted, he'll probably argue with it. He's a little loose on some stuff now, but I feel like a guy like that has a right to be, like he may not. He's probably forgotten more than what most people know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
how did that take you up to Half Step? Did you meet Chris, and did he recruit you in? Or
yeah, I mean, I actually met Chris at a pop-up Ocho event, man, before he had Half Step.
Before he had the bar, yeah.
But that wasn't the. I had been working for a while at Pech&eacute. I think it was my second year. I was getting into my second year. And, I remember a couple friends, Floyd particularly, Brian Floyd, approached me about like the prospect of working there, and I was like, oh fuck. I mean, I looked at them like they were the gods, like fucking. Nah, man, I can't fuck with you.
You feel like a B team?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, I'm just not. They're like, nah, man,
you got it.
And it was tough. It was like I was totally like, oh man, I mean, it's fucking the fact that I'm like, it's just Floyd though. He's just like, hey man, you should totally, get in there. And then
the
I came in
consummate
one
gentleman,
night.
I call Mr. Floyd.
Oh yeah. Oh god, he's super. But I remember him. We went to Lucille's next door to Half Step. I think I went into Half Step, and then we went to have a beer outside of that. And he kind of pitched it to me at the time, and then I came in on another night, and Bostic was there, and he was like, "Dude, have you seen the outside bar?" And I was like, "No." So I came back there, and I'm like looking at it the first time. I'm like, "Holy shit!" Everything was like untouched, and I'm like, "Fuck." And
pristine.
He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I'm like, it's like a fucking Ferrari." And he looked at me with a straight face, and he was like, "Yo, do you want to drive it?" And I was like,
amazing.
What?
I'll give you the keys.
Like, are you sure, man? And yeah, that's how it started. And I double timed it for 6 months, and it was a hard road because I really had to unlearn a lot of things.
What do you think's the main difference? Is it just the level of detail and
the
execution?
attention. Like it was always about attention to detail from the jump, which is probably why I stuck to it so well.
Yeah.
Or I feel comfortable with it now. But I think that I started to see a different, on top of what I was already learning at Pech&eacute, when I got exposed to Sasha. That was like a whole like, this is weird. I just
yeah.
I wasn't even I was never like, oh my God. I was just like,
it's awkward.
And I remember all the training, and I just remember like for the first month just being like, man, this is what the fuck? Just being like not even like happy about it. Just like
right.
I just don't like, because I wasn't there yet, so I could see. I mean, like I was listening and digesting, and it just constantly just digest.
Right.
And then having this moment where like I remember it finally kind of materialized on a busy ass Friday night, and I got left hanging for one of my first times on the inside bar in the well, and just getting fucking hammered, and all of the things, all of the little steps, and just in terms of like how it's so important to be consistent, and in the process of being fast, and in the process of being like, and just have it materialize for the first time, and it felt good when I built like this. I mean, it was like a round of 5,
sure.
My first one, and I was like speeding sweat, oh my God, I fucking did it, and now it's crazy to think about like
where you're at now, right?
And also like how it's almost like impossible to think of another way to work.
Yeah.
Based off of those principles, and it's that on top of doing ice, and it's like a world that I would have, if you had asked me a year ago, I'd have been like, fuck that, dude. I'm just gonna, whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
so do you have that same desire that a lot of people do to open your own place? Is that on your map?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'd love to do a spot. I've talked about it a couple times with a few people, but I'm realistic about it in the process of like making sure that what I do has to. I mean, I think it has to be a good bar in the sense of it being unique.
Yeah.
And the issue is trying to find out what's my unique.
Right.
Like, not just cocktails, but like what can I offer to people.
Like aesthetically too, because you got to build it, right? It's got to physically exist as
Yeah.
well.
Like what can I what's my contribution to the person I want to chill?
Right.
And a lot of that actually would deal with what we're talking about, man. It would be a lot of music, but like a lot of less about like in the same way bars have booze that are really non-brand oriented but quality.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're not brand oriented. I mean like big guys.
No, I
like,
totally. Man, I went to White Lion
dude.
last week, and it's not to name drop, but it is to say that it was a pinnacle moment for me going into this place where everything was perfect, the drinks were all perfect, and there was not a single brand in the fucking bar. And I was like, good, because it's a barrier, and it allows us to develop preconceived notions about things if we don't like a brand that way, or conversely, if we said, oh, that's my brand, that it's biased. It biases your perspective. And this way, it was totally clean. Went in, it was a Thursday night. We closed the place out. There's like 4 people in it. It was like perfect, right?
Right.
And I couldn't have imagined a better experience. And for me, that's the future of the bars.
And it's not to say that those, I mean, like, I don't want to sound the least contradictive in any way, but it's like, it's not that brands are a problem, but it's like, it's the exposure of other guys, or other things that we've been, there's like one of the things that it's been unfortunate, where we have exposure in the industry to all these brilliant fucking things, and it's up to us to figure out a way to get it in there.
Yeah.
But even in translation, like trying to relay that to a consumer, like you're better off not saying anything.
Exactly.
I'm going to make you something dope.
That's what it should be, because it's about your work, your art, your creativity. Right. And to me, even though I own a brand, I still feel if you focus on the brand instead of the creator, you're missing the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
It's not a bar set up to create or to carry Bacardi products.
Yeah.
And it's a bar set up to deliver something beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that there are people that could argue, the merits of that point with me, and it's fine. I'm just saying, like, at the essence of like looking towards the future for me and having a bar, and I'm more interested in doing something. Well, like I said, getting back to my point was just basically it is for the bars that are out there that offer really unique brands as opposed to the main, like the 4 food groups or whatever.
Right.
Like that's their stick.
Yeah.
Like I would like to be able to do that in a lot of facets and not just the booze. Offer quality just all around. And it's not to say that bars don't, but just being like, even for me and what I respond to.
Yeah.
And my exposure, like walking into a bar, for example, that had like wall to wall, like Blue Note covers, original pressings,
right?
And having like a section of the bar that was devoted to like just odds and ends vinyl,
right?
Where like we could like kind of like Rob Roy does a vinyl night,
Yeah.
Having something like that, but having something, but like aesthetically, like the bar itself aesthetically being in a place to where it would be an extension of myself. And people say that all the time, but like I think about it in the same way I talk to people across the bar. For me, I look at it as this, like, I want you to come over to my house and chill with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a cheese plate. I'm going to crack this bottle of Charter.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on some Jay Dilla beats, and I'll put on Baraka on mute in the background and just have that
just
playing,
watch it. Yeah.
And just watch it for the sake of, like
right.
having, like that's a typical, like if I could envision a moment where I like could have that. I mean, that's what it was for me back in the day, minus the cheese plates, but now I have money so I can afford cheese plates.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing. Like I think it's about trying to make it as comfortable. I think that making something comfortable for yourself and making other people comfortable that want to come into your spot are one and the same. I think people overthink that shit. I think I've heard people talk about, that in terms of like, this extension of hospitality.
Right.
And I really think that hospitality can also be defined as, like it starts with, hosp, or the host part of it.
Right,
yeah. So
right.
it's like just come over to the crib, man. I'm gonna cook some steaks. It's like I want it to be as comfortable as it can possibly be, and I want the dialogue included to be as such. It's like you have to have that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that people don't have that. I think that there's like everybody's clean and politically correct about it, but I really think that at the end of the day, like I'm really like my style is more of like I've heard people say anything from like music is for the customers, it's not for you, and it's like okay, well, cool. The same way you can expose somebody to booze, you can expose somebody to new music.
Yep.
Or you can expose somebody to a different vibe.
Yeah.
You can make it warm and inviting, and you can have a sense of humor without the fear of taking someone too seriously, but making sure that everything that's going on in the background is, hey, I'm gonna make you remember this shit.
Yeah.
Like this drink, I'm gonna do my best to make sure that I'm not gonna fuck this up. I'm not gonna overthink the drink. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna make sure that this is rock solid, tried and true. Have at, and if you like, I hope you dig it, and it doesn't. I think it's got to be all around and less about there's so many times where, and it's cool. Like you learn, like I said earlier in the cast, like I'm going to school every day in some capacity, but I really feel like it goes a long way to just be what we need more these days, and in all of my experiences, is just to be that elemental human. I don't care. I had to learn the hard way. Like, I don't care if you have a degree. I don't care if you are smart.
Right.
I don't care. I'm gonna find a way to relate to you. Either way, we're gonna have a fucking good time.
Yeah.
I've had the most amazing conversations with people, from like putting on a fucking rando B-side Creedence track in the middle of a shift, and this guy having a fucking Chernobyl meltdown, like, right. Whoa! I'm like, yeah, dude, it's one of my favorite tracks. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, that spans into a conversation about, like, the guy's like, well, what do you like, man? Let me get you something. And I'm like, okay, cool. Have you ever had a Negroni? No. What the fuck is that? And then, like, that discovery and seeing somebody taste it's like seeing somebody taste cake for the first time.
Right.
Like, so it's like, yeah, let's do it, so it's definitely, I feel like that's kind of where I am right now. But having said all that, I have respect for the time and for the knowledge, and that there's always something to learn, and that I don't have it all figured out. And I'm definitely patient on that game. Like, I don't want to think that, given my blessings with who I've gotten an opportunity to work for and with, and being in a community where some of my best friends are some of the best in the game,
right?
Like
top standards guys.
Yeah, I don't lose sight of that, because those guys are still taking me to school, and I'm in an environment with them where it's shared,
right?
And they're open. It's literally just the pearly gates.
It's an amazing place, and I think it's going to be the launching point for what I hope is what I'm trying to do here as well, and that is invite you into my house, share some charter, and the music is us chatting. But I'm not going to forget this conversation, Shid. It's been really wonderful for me. And
thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, and I can't wait for people to hear it. So thanks so much for stopping.
Oh God, man, I hope it's good for you. This guy.
It should be. It'll be great, man. It'll be great. Thanks again.
Thanks thank you, man. Thank you.
Well, there we have it. The conclusion to my wonderful conversation with Shid. We learned about a lot of things, man. I went from knowing hardly anything about him to now feeling like I have a great understanding of where he comes from, who he is, what, like, his moral compass, like all of these things, really, really intelligent guy. And I hope that kind of what I've tried to set out to do here in this podcast, and just have people over, be honest, share honest, clear, unadulterated moments with people. I hope that we'll see a bar from Shid soon enough in which he can share his uniquely warm, uniquely creative living room via a bar to us all. So it's been a great episode. I really enjoyed sharing this with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thanks again for tuning in to Show to V with Mike G, and remember to keep dancing.